welcome to Upgrade. I'm your host, Frank the Tank, and today we're going to bring in Q&A stuff that people have been asking me questions about the pool, how to maintain the pool, and some tips too. And so far, I am very impressed with some of the stuff I bought, and I'm not impressed with some other stuff. So we're going to talk a little bit more about it. But first of all, we're going to start with the most important thing. First, people are asking me questions about chemicals on the pools. So they have many chemicals for pools, but you got to be careful what you buy, because there's outdoor for built-in pools and for external pools like this. There's different materials that some of it can damage your pool. So go with a professional, ask the questions, and I'm not the professional one. I'm going to give you the tips that I got purchasing some of the items on some of these stores. I went to Leslie's Pools. Thank you for the Leslie Pool. They were very helpful, but they sometimes tend to guide you different directions. You got to do the rest of the research. For example, I asked about the sand filter in the beginning, and they were guiding me not to buy a sand filter. They say pretty much go get a regular filter. The only reason they do this is so you could keep buying filters from them in the future. So that's one thing I didn't like about it. So I did research. Sand filters are the best thing to do. Salt filters the second. Well, salt's a little bit harder to maintain, but sand is probably the best one, because my research, if you go to the sand, the index, it says that you don't have to replace the sand for 5 years. I wouldn't recommend that. 5 years is too long. Maybe once a year, I would say, you know, buy a sandbag, keep it there, and keep updated. But 5 years is too long for a sandbag to be index not to be refilled again. So we're gonna talk a little bit more about that. But all you guys that have questions, hopefully I can answer some of them. If not, keep them coming. So today we're gonna start first of all how to maintain your pool. So we're gonna do this, and if it goes longer, then I'll do a part 2, part 3. But let's go ahead and how to maintain the pool first. I bought this. There's little strips that you put on, and basically what you do is you dip them in water and you pull them out. On the side of it, you bring that strip and you identify exactly what you need. It's very simple to read on this thing. If you notice, these labels right here says okay, and right here it will say okay, and here we'll say okay too also. And if you're not familiar with it, there's a whole information on the website. It tells you exactly what it is. You might need some minerals, chlorine, and other chemicals. So this is a good way to start first if you're ever going to start cleaning your pool. So let's go ahead and start with this process. So right now we're going to start with this one. We go ahead and dip it in the water. Make sure it gets nice and wet. You take it out. You'll get the results in 15 seconds, 15 to 30 seconds. Another thing is, if you ever want to know if you want to clean your pool, not just your pool, but also your fish tank, this is another way to do it too. So I'm gonna dip it in here. I know I have algae in here. I have to clean this spot. We're gonna identify if anything else I have to do too besides the filters. So we take it out. All right, so I have 2 floating devices, and they take these. I put these chlorine tablets in here. Depending on the read, I actually add 1 or 2 depending on if it needs it or not. But these come in tablets, and they're a little pricey. Depends on where you buy them. Depends where you buy them. So, this could retail up to $50, the box itself, and there's a couple chlorine tablets in there that you could set up. It takes a long time for them to dissolve. Another thing I recommend is buy a good net. You got, instead of the skimmer always picking up the bugs, make sure you get a nice little net and a long pole if it's possible, because you're always going to get bugs everywhere. So another recommendation. So my pool comes with this actual setup where it has this little intake in here, and you could just screw it in. This was part of the whole deal when I purchased it. So let me put it together. This would go in your intakes on B section, and right here is a B section pretty much. Put it in there. You have to loosen it up in here, of course. Once you loosen it up, make sure it's in there properly. And so make sure that's in there. This has to be at least above an inch above the water, at least half an inch or an inch. So this could be bobbling up and down, if you can see it. And then when it starts taking it in, it bubbles in, so the air sucks in some of stuff. Everything goes in the basket. That's pretty much how it takes all this stuff. Now chemicals, like I just showed you the chlorine tablets in a bit, and this is one recommendation that I got from Leslie's Pool. It's a fresh and clean. It's a package that has all the minerals and everything that needs to be removed. If you get a cloudy pool, it's recommended to throw one of these in there. But before you do that, make sure you read your tablet, your actual strip, and see if it even needs it, because some people, it's not necessary to throw this on if you don't need it. So only if you're missing or you're below the mark, it's necessary to throw one of these in. Now they have different brands and different options for all sorts of pool. This was actually recommended by the salesperson in there, and it tells you how they quickly resolves. Now what I did is I cut a little hole in the corner and I walked all around the pool, and I laid a layer everywhere, and it was a little cloudy. Woke up the next day. It took about 2 days for it to make sure it dissolves properly, and then it fixed the pool. It clarified the pool, and the results came back clean pool, normal pool on the strip too itself, but not recommended if you don't need it. First use the strip. The strip is not that expensive. It was like $9 to read it first, and if you do need some of the stuff, then you have to go into your nearest pool vendor, or you could buy this online and throw it in there. It's called Fresh and Clean. There's 3 or 4 different brands of this, and every single one does different stuff. Now this one is supposedly clear, murky, and cloudy water, so this one helps. I'm not gonna use it unless it gets dirty again. Don't necessarily require. And there's a lot of instructions in here. It's like it says, it's for all types of pool, keeps water clear and sparkling, weekly prevents problems. So you could do this weekly, but not recommended unless you start seeing the same problem. Now these are one of the best things I bought for them, and this is why I'm going to tell you why I purchased one of these. It's recommended to have one of these for all sorts of things. So I'm going to show you exactly what I did. So when I ran my pool to actually the heater, I used one of these for it, and it's just an extension to convert to the lower pipe, the 1/2 inch pipe, to the 1 inch. You could convert in 2 different ways. So there's 2 different parts of reed here, and it's usually the top one right now. And once you do that, it's easy to convert it. It goes into my water heater right now. Now I did convert the other end to my water heater. If you see it, there's no leakages in here. If recommended, maybe use plumber's tape, which is the one that's necessary. You could add it in there for extra protection in the tube itself. Now this one goes directly to my heater, and then from the heater, from the other end, I ended up putting another tube, and there's a converter right there. So if you do get leakage like this, recommended taking it off and putting the plumber's tape. That helps out. All right, best thing to use it for, check it out. So I put it in here, and this one, this is a smaller pipe that I have here. This is for a smaller conversion pipe, if you see it. Now what I need to do is, if I want to back flush the system, it's easy as taking this off and adding the converter that I just put in here with this long pipe, this long tube that I have, and then so it could backwash and clean it out. And if you're running less pressure because you own one of these, it's best to do the backwash and then the rinse. All right, so this is gonna run for maybe like a minute, and I'm gonna show you guys how long it is, so you can see how long it is. I'm actually here, and I'm gonna run it back. And the beauty about this is, here I am. I'm gonna put the backwash, which is right here, and then I'm gonna turn it on, and you can see that little converter helps the water get clean, and you can see it kind of brownish. That's the dirt, you know, the backwash that's been clogging it up. You know, let it run for like a minute. This will help you with the airflow and bring you more power to the actual suction, and actually to the outtake too. So if you're getting less, then you see it's getting weaker, and if you start seeing the water getting clear, you see it's a little brownish right there. It's the backwash of all the stuff that's grind. So do this once in a while when it starts slowing down. Now it's becoming more clear. So once we do that, we know we're getting that clearance. And let me show you the water, how dirty it is. Here's the water. You guys can see it. Look how dirty it's getting. Backwash everything. So this is the problem right there. When you start seeing clear, that's where you actually start putting it back. So it's a little murky. You can see it. It's all the backwash, but it's helping. Okay, now it's starting to clear off. So we're gonna stop it, and we're gonna put rinse. Rinse. I'm gonna start again. And the rinse, let it rinse for a while. You'll see it get clear. And if you don't see it clear, you continue rinsing for a bit. So now I see that it's clean. It's not brown no more. You can always put your hand in here so you can see the difference. Now on the other end, here it is, the clearance. Look how clear it is. Now we can turn it off. All right, so those that have questions, see how it's working? That's working right there. You can see it sucking all the stuff. So like this ant and all that stuff is gonna eventually end up in there, and then you replace the basket in there. But like I said, connect it here. Once it connects to B, that's because I did the backwash of the whole system. B, it goes with the other B, and it goes directly to the back end of the filter system. Now I could take this off now that I cleaned it out. It's gonna drain out some water, but it does it. Now another thing that I recommend you guys to do when you're gonna do maintenance, I'm gonna talk to you guys a little bit about it. I have a rag somewhere in here, and what I like to do is I always put it over it so it won't spill water everywhere, and just open it up a little bit, just let the air come out, the rest of the air that was stuck in there, any bubbles, let it out. Because if I do this, this is what happens. So I try to keep the rag in there. That's a little tip I'm giving you guys. So once I close it out, let some air out, and you can always tell if there's a bubble in here, and if something's blocking this filter here, you can always take it off and clean it out too. Leave the rag nearby. We could bring this back. This, like I said, this is a great add-in, and I'll put the description where to purchase something like this. Easy to set up, easy to use. Secondary thing, a recommendation every morning before the sun starts getting hotter, get your brush the edges, brush your edges everywhere. It accumulates mostly in corners, a lot of it in corners. If you could get a net and capture the corners before that machine does, that machine is going to pick up a lot more fibers and other stuff that you won't see. So this Intex little roller that I don't know what the name, I call him Johnny 5 is running the whole floor, and it's going to run for contingency for a couple hours. Then I come back in here and I end up cleaning the filter and then throw it back in here. But if you notice, it wasn't using the power itself because I already haven't backwashed the system for a while. So if you see a slowness of it, recommendation, do a backwash, rinse, and you'll see a big difference on the power of the Intex filter. But this thing is running pretty quick now. And see how it's picking up all the fiber. It's gonna run the whole thing. It's not gonna, if it tangles up, it just let it be. You can always untangle it from there, from this corner, untangle it and come back. So this thing does not generate, it doesn't need any power. It's running pretty good. Self by itself, no batteries necessary. It's all pretty much propulsion, water propulsion. Like I said, I have 2 floaters because I do need 2 of them. This pool is too long for just one, so I have 2. Recommendation 2. Depending on the breeder meat, you could add 2 tablets, 1 tablet. You don't want to overdo with the chlorine too, so I keep 2 just in case it gets too much dirty that I need to add some more. Well, simple tips like that can help anybody keep their pool clean. It took me a while. I'm a first timer on this kind of pool stuff, but so far it's been working very good. Cleaning was my options that I had to go look out somewhere else because from a perspective of 2 different vendors, you get 2 different answers. But what's working for me, I hope it works for you guys. I do have a water heater, so I try to scrub every day, so algae won't grow into the system, because the water heater does bring it up at least another 5 degrees, so hotter, I would say 5 to 10, depends on the weather. You could add some more, but the more you add to it and the more tubing you add, the less pressure you're gonna add to the actual cleaning system, the filter system. So I'm thinking about purchasing another different system where I could rotate and change the actual filter, where either I could bypass, not go to the water heater and go directly to the pool, giving it more pressure. But like I said, the more stuff you add on the outside, on the piping, on the tubing, the less pressure you're going to give out to the actual filter. So if you're letting less pressure on the filters, it's best to do the backwash like I did. It worked out very simple, and I showed you guys the chemicals and the simplicity of just cleaning it up. Skim it down once in a while, and you'll enjoy the pool for many years if you continue on. Now, recommendation on the website for adding sand, it says 5 years, but I think I'm gonna upgrade and clean the sand every once a year, or maybe even less, depending on how much sand I have. I have a whole bag of it, maybe start using it. So if you have any questions or any comments, thank you guys for all watching out there and asking those fabulous questions. I might not answer all, but if you do, hit me up and let me know, and I'll try to answer as much as I can. I've been your host, Frank the Tank, and God bless you all.